Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Triple Threat Show. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus, and we are here on a beautiful Wednesday morning. Happy October, everybody. It is October 1st. We are officially in spooky season. Welcome in. We have a lot to talk about. Before we get into the main topic of our show, as we do every Wednesday, we'll get into power rankings. We'll get into winners and losers in the NFL. We will get into baseball from last night and a Thursday night preview. We have some breaking news today. Right before we went live, the Browns officially have made a change at quarterback. We're going to bring in my friend and co-host, Mehrob Fatemi. Mehrob, big news out of Cleveland today. Dillon Gabriel, the starter in Week 5. Now, we all knew that this was going to happen at some point, right? There was going to be a quarterback change soon with the Browns. Week 5? I know it hasn't gone the greatest, but Week 5 feels a little bit early to me. Talk to me a little bit about this move. What does it mean for the Browns? And I guess Dillon Gabriel over Shedeur Sanders seems like the right decision to me, but is that right? Is that the right decision for you?
It's not a horrible decision. We did know at some point that this was going to come, but uh, I don't hate the decision. Do we love it? No. But can we hate it? No, at the same time. Because when we're looking at Joe Flacco's stats so far through 4 games, 815 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions,
Mm.
just a 27 quarterback rating. Just not doing very well at all so far through 4 games. Yes, they beat the Packers, but I'd say the reason that they've been very competitive so far in a lot of these games has been because of their defense, has been on the play of uh of Myles Garrett in that secondary. Overall, I just think this is an offense that has some promise, has some young pieces across the running backs, the wide receiver room. It's just the fact that Joe Flacco was not able to get it done with his arm. That is the biggest reason why we're here right now. And it's just going to be about, can Dillon Gabriel get it done? Does Dillon Gabriel have the ability to put the football downfield accurately and get the offense rolling? I think if you can do that, this is a Browns team that can do some things, that can knock off some of those better teams in the AFC, can be one of those scary teams to play down the stretch. Just going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I like the idea of bringing in a Dillon Gabriel. Is it a little bit early? Yes. But does it also make sense? Also, yes.
So 5 weeks in, they make a quarterback change. They are 1-3. Of course, you bring up that win against the Green Bay Packers. That defense has been elite. Their next game, they travel to London to take on the Minnesota Vikings, who the Vikings are not the home team again, despite staying over there. And it's basically going to be a home game for them simply because they've had a whole week over there to adjust to the time. Now, that I think is going to be a huge piece of the puzzle. I don't mind this move to Dillon Gabriel. There's going to be a lot of people out there, and this move has literally just happened, so there hasn't been too much reaction from the general public that I've seen. In fact, I've actually seen none from the general public yet. There's going to be a lot of people calling for Shedeur here, and I think that's going to be where the big conversation is. I think Dillon Gabriel pretty clearly is playing better. We saw it in the preseason. We saw it earlier this year against the Ravens. He popped into a game and threw a touchdown to Dylan Sampson. I think we're going to see that Dillon Gabriel is the right decision. Again, I don't know if he's really going to be a super successful quarterback in the NFL, but the noise is going to get really loud for him if he has a bad game in London that Shedeur Sanders should come into the game. I don't know if it's a great spot to put your rookie quarterback in, and I know you got to do it at some point because Joe Flacco not the answer. He had a horrible year last year with the Colts, and it hasn't really been the same this year with the Browns, but I don't know if this is going to give the Browns the same juice as it gave the Giants when Jackson Dart came in.
I agree, and that's the tough part about bringing in a rookie quarterback. You don't know what type of juice they're going to bring, what kind of effect they're going to have in the team, how they're going to be able to handle that moment. Um, Going up against a Minnesota Vikings squad that doesn't have the best defense, they're not horrible, but they don't have the best defense. I think could work in a Dillon Gabriel's in his favor, but I'm right there with you. If Dylan Gabriel has that bad of a first half, I could see there's a real situation that they put Shadur in the second half, or bring him in week 6. There's a real possibility that happens. Would I count on it? Probably not. But at the same time, these are two quarterbacks that I kind of have, in my opinion, kind of neck and neck in terms of what they can be. Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, we don't really know. We're just basing them off of a really highly competitive preseason training camp QB battle that they had. And now they're just pretty much the two backups. It was never really 2 versus 3. It was kind of 2A and 2B. So Gabriel, the guy from Oregon, versus Shadur Sanders, the guy from Colorado. Are you going to take the guy that actually had an offensive line in Oregon, or are you going to take the guy that played with the Heisman winner without an offensive line in Colorado? That's pretty much what we're basing it off here. So it's kind of hard to choose, but Dylan Gabriel it is. And we'll see how he does.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. They travel to London. Shadur Sanders will still be the third string quarterback. Joe Flacco slots into that number 2 spot. So Flacco now the backup, and Dylan Gabriel the starter. We'll monitor that situation. That's huge news. It really is huge news. It had to happen eventually. I kind of like it for the Browns. I do. It's not necessarily a soft spot in the schedule, but Vikings, and then the Vikings in London, then the Steelers on the road, then the Dolphins, then the Patriots. It's about as easy of a landing spot as you're going to get for your rookie quarterback heading into the bye week in week 9. I think Dylan Gabriel gets, as long as he's not horrible, just absolutely atrocious, he gets 4 weeks of run until the bye, and then they reevaluate, see if it's time to move on. But I do think that it was time for Joe Flacco to hand the reins off. I'm glad the Browns were able to make a decision. Although I do suspect that this is not going to go over very well in the overall NFL fan community. But we will have to see. Let's get a little bit into our winners and losers from week 4 of the NFL season. There was a lot that happened this week in the NFL. And Mehrob, do you want to start with the good, the bad, or the ugly here?
Listen, Jeremy, let's start off October 1st. Let's start off October on the winner's side of things because that's what we got to start.
That's
October
right.
1st is
It's
for
is gonna be a good month. So let's start off with some good news. How about Jackson Dart? How about Jackson Dart coming in game 1 of his rookie season, taking down the team that some people were crowning as the best in football, the team that some people were saying we're gonna win the Super Bowl. The Los Angeles Chargers come into New York, and Jackson Dart in his opening game leads the New York Giants to victory. The stat line not very pretty. Threw for less than 200 yards. Threw for 1 touchdown, didn't turn the ball over, ran for another touchdown. But the most important thing, and the thing that I kind of alluded to when we were talking about this quarterback change in Cleveland, is when this was announced, the energy around the Giants was different. He rejuvenated a team that clearly knew they were bad, right? Everyone on the team knows that they're not going to win a lot of football games this year. But getting a guy like that to the starting lineup, getting a guy like that gets the fans going, gets the team going. There was just a different energy around the building this week, and you saw it with the way the defense was flying. It doesn't hurt that the Chargers offensive line was super banged up, losing 2 all-pro level guys, Rashawn Slater in the offseason and Joe Alt in the beginning of that game. But Jackson Dart looked really good. He didn't do anything bad. I know they changed the offense to be more of a collegiate style offense. If that's what you have to do to make a quarterback successful, that's what you have to do to make a quarterback successful. Is it going to lead to long-term success? Maybe.
Yep.
Who knows? It's 1 week. I am very much inclined to say absolutely it is because we haven't seen anything but success. But it's another tough matchup this week for the Giants. It's not going to be easy against the Eagles. It's he's getting
Let it
thrown, or excuse me, get the Saints this week and then the Eagles after that. So maybe they start off 2-0. But Jackson Dart, huge winner this week. The Giants, huge winner this week. No longer winless. Jackson Dart, big winner. I'd say the biggest winner of the NFL Week 4.
Absolutely no doubt about it. Shout out Jackson Dart. Let him hear it, Jeremy, because he showed up in a big way for the Giants. It's just unfortunate that offensive line was a little bit putrid dealing with the because I mean Jackson Dart was running for his life in the pocket on Sunday, so that was a little bit of a that was interesting to watch. But um, the way he was able to handle that Chargers pass rush, also that Chargers defense was kind of eliminated for the most part. That Giants defense showed up in a big way. The Chargers offense did not do very well at all. They had what, one touchdown the entire game? Did not do very well at all. So you got to give the Giants props in all departments. They really helped Jackson Dart be successful. They put him in a good spot, and then Dart did the rest with his legs, throwing the ball. He was just very successful in every way he could be. And it was a very fun game to watch overall. So when we're watching, this is going to be a fun team to watch moving forward. Is it going to stay like this? We'll see. We'll see, Jeremy, because they do have a tough
We'll
schedule.
see. We'll
I don't
see.
want
It's optimistic Wednesday, right? We're gonna say yes.
to
Happy
absolutely.
October, everybody.
Yeah, optimistic October. Cheers to that.
That's right. That's right.
But
Look,
when we're looking at
go for it.
when we're looking at what this team has to offer, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatabo, Abdul Carter, there's talent out all across the board. It's just about can they pull it together to get it all done.
You know, you brought me right into exactly what I was gonna say. Jackson Dart wasn't the only winner from the Giants on Sunday. I thought the rookie running backs, just as a class overall, really showed up. Cam Scatterbo showed up huge in that game. He, again, isn't going to blow up the stat sheet, but whenever he touches the ball, there's a different energy. Whenever he makes one of his explosive blocks, there's a different energy. When he's on the field, there's just simply a different energy around that New York Giants team. How about Ashton Genty? Three total touchdowns. He's here. He got his standing up straight stance back, and voila, what do you know? He's back to himself. Who could have possibly predicted that telling a guy that maybe should have won Heisman last year to change how he gets ready to play football is going to lead to not great things? Shout out Ashton Genty, a 54-yard touchdown run, and then a couple of touchdown passes en route to a real close loss to the Chicago Bears. Also, Omarion Hampton in that Giants game, he finally stepped up. He was having, honestly, a really bad rookie season, but he stepped it up. He's there, ready to go. Quinshon Judkins had a huge day, got back into the end zone. Travion Henderson found his way into the end zone, Mehrob. The rookie running backs had a really good week. There were a lot of people that were saying this was going to be a bust of a rookie class, but it's hard when you're comparing it to last year because I said it last year, I'll say it again. Last year's rookie class might be the best rookie class of all time. Like the single greatest rookie class for the rookie season of all time. Maybe not as a total like career kind of thing, but if you just took every single rookie class's rookie season and you compared them to each other, the rookies of last year have a really strong case to be the best first year class in the history of the NFL. So you're going to take a little bit of a hit after that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to say the best rookie class of all
Well,
time. He
let's
said.
break this down a little bit, right? Let's start with the quarterbacks. You had 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. Jaden Daniels, arguably a top 5 guy. You have Bo Nix, who had a really good year last year. Michael Penix came on strong down the stretch. Drake May looked really good. Caleb Williams had his moments. That's just the quarterbacks, right? Brian Thomas Jr. finished top 5 in the entire NFL in receiving yards. Malik Neighbors had a record-breaking season. So did tight end Brock Bowers. That's just scratching the surface of this rookie class. It goes even deeper than that. But like, these are guys that are not just breaking records, but doing it as rookies. And of course, it's not all translating to year 2. We're seeing the struggles that Brian Thomas Jr. is having. But if you just take it in their first year, it's hard to find a better one than what we saw last season.
I don't necessarily disagree, but just there's what was it, the draft class when with Lamar, Josh Allen, and Sam Darnold. That class is my opinion is one of the best draft classes I've seen. And even then, I haven't been watching football for very long, so I got to go back into the archives to see if there's probably even better than that out there. But I'd definitely say it's top five. Probably of the 2020s is it the best? No doubt. Could it be in the conversation for this century? No doubt about it. Of the 2000s, no doubt. But am I ready to hands down say it was the best draft of all time? We'll see how it all plays out. Bo Nix hasn't had a great year this year. Penix has showed up a little bit, but in terms of how this team is, how these guys have shown up, I just am not ready to say if they're that good. Not that you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong, Jeremy. I'm just saying let's pump the brakes on the best draft of all time. Let's just pump the brakes a little bit.
I'm not saying
They're one
career.
of the,
I'm just saying best like if you took the rookie season of every single draft class ever, right? That's probably the best rookie season that as a combined draft class has ever had, honestly. Again, I see what you're saying. It is a little early to crown him, but I'm ready
yeah.
to crown him.
Yeah. Well, uh,
But I cut you off. We were
I wish
talking rookie running backs a little bit.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I wanted to take a second and congratulate Ashton Genty. Thank you for going back to that. Ashton Genty didn't have a great preseason. People were tearing him up. I was one of them. I was one of those guys that was a Genty non-believer. Genty was not didn't look good at all through preseason, through the first 3 weeks of the regular season. Then he comes out this past weekend, the smaller guy being able to run through tackles, being a receiving back, kind of being like a Bucky Irving-esque guy, like Byshell Tootin, what he's doing in Jacksonville-esque guy, being able to run with the football. The offensive line, also you're dealing with a pretty bad offensive line in Vegas, if we're being honest. Let's just say that before we move any further, because that offensive line is putrid in Vegas right now. They can't stop a cold. They can't hold me and you back, Jeremy, if we were running Smith. But uh if if he can continue to grow as a running back, continue to grow into that offense, into Pete Carroll's style of offense, because he runs the ball a lot. So he's gonna continue to develop at a high level. But it's just gonna be about how he can develop. And if he can do that, I like what Ashton Jensen can become. It's just this year, it might just be a tough year, but definitely further down the line, I do like what Ashton Jensen can become.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, I really am a big fan of what these rookie running backs have done, especially last week. It was a tough start to the season for a lot of them, but they're going out there, they're winning games. Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'm telling you, October, this is
Ooh,
peak allergy season. I'm dealing with it. You're dealing with it. Everybody's dealing with it.
that's where
That's
they
why I
get you.
got him next
But
to me.
no, like I said, it was really encouraging to see these running backs go out there and just play really good football, honestly. I got one more winner for you, and then I'll turn the floor over to you. How about Puka Nakua? He's on pace to break all of the records. 42 receptions through 4 weeks in the season. He's had over 10 receptions in each of the first 4 games. What do you do with him? How do you stop him? You can't. That connection with him and Matthew Stafford, the best in the NFL, it is just unstoppable right now. And Puka continues to find the end zone, continues to get the ball at all stages in every single level of the field. He just makes tough contested catches. He finds a way to get open all the time. Puka Nakua really making a case to be one of the top 3 receivers in the NFL this season.
Yeah, no, he's making his case right now to be the best receiver in the NFL right now. We're seeing it across the league. Justin Jefferson doesn't have a great quarterback, so his numbers are taking a dip. Jamar Chase, same situation. His numbers are taking a dip. I mean, Puka Nakua is really emerging to be the best receiver in all football right now, and it's not close. He's on pace for over 2,100 yards. He's on pace to break so many records. And that Stafford, his connection with Matthew Stafford. I know you love Matthew Stafford,
Big fan.
Jeremy, but he is making Stafford look like a top 7 quarterback right now. And yes, is Stafford probably a top 10 quarterback right now? Yes. But he's making him look a lot better. And this Rams offense looks prolific. You got Puka on one side, Devontae Adams on the other. You got Kyron in the backfield. Like, this is a great LA Rams offense, and it all starts with the effect of Puka Nakua. He really is that kind of a guy. And if he can stay healthy this year, I think he could end up being a 2100-esque yard guy for this Rams team.
All right. Yeah. No, he's had, like I said, just an amazing season. I don't know if I go as far as to say he's going to be the best in the NFL because you still have Jamar Chase and Jay Jettas ahead of him. But fantasy wise, probably going to finish as wide receiver one on the season, which again doesn't necessarily make you the wide receiver one overall, but still definitely
I'm
puts you
calling it
up.
right now. He's going to finish as the best receiver in the NFL. It is week 4, October 1st. I'm saying he's going to become the best receiver when we look back in February.
All right, I love it. We're gonna pin this. We're gonna make sure that we remember this one from October 1st. But Mehrob, you got any big winners from Week 3 of the NFL?
Big winners from week 3 in the NFL. Uh, I'd have to say, put me on the spot here. Uh, I have a couple, well, winners. First things first. We got to give the first winners to let's give them let's give some hometown love here. Let's give some love to the New England Patriots offense. This team showed up in what has been this is an absolutely really young team. Showed up against the Carolina Panthers at home and really just took care of business. Put up 42 points on them. Some of that due to the tackling and the inability to tackle on the Panthers side of things? Yes. But was Marcus Jones able to run all over this team? Had a kickoff return for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown. Drake May was able to get it going, threw for 200 yards, had a rushing touchdown of his own. This Patriots offense looked electric on Sunday, and am I a little bit Stephon Diggs as well? 6 receptions for 100 yards. He looked like he was back to his Buffalo-esque self, his Minnesota self, the guy who was an all-pro receiver at one point. I expect this team to kind of continue to grow with what they have around Drake May and this entire team, the offense, the defense. They got Christian Gonzalez back, but, but, and this is unfortunately the bad part of this situation. They got to go up against Buffalo next week. And I
Mm.
am terrified because this is a really young team that is flying high that could absolutely have a cataclysmic fall in Buffalo next weekend or this weekend. But there is a little part of me that's still holding out hope that this team could beat Buffalo. Am I counting on it? Absolutely not. I'm not crazy. But it could be a close game. It really could be a close game. We'll see how it all plays out. But we'll be back for a preview for that one on Friday. I'll have a better idea of what happens on Friday.
Yeah, big Sunday night football game for the Patriots, coming off of a 42-point victory. Shout out Drake May. Shout out the Patriots. They get a big win. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There's a little bit of doom and gloom in the NFL every single week, whether that be major injuries, which we did see a bunch of this week. Prayers up for Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, and everyone else that had some injuries last week. But there are also some losers in the NFL, and I want to start off with a team that I'm just incredibly worried about. The Baltimore Ravens. This is a Ravens team that I had predicted to go to the Super Bowl, and maybe that's a curse because, look, honestly, I had picked the Jets to go to the Super Bowl last year. So we might be 0 for 2, and we might be real bad picking AFC teams going to the Super Bowl. But look, the Ravens now 1-3 lose Lamar Jackson for 2 to 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. Derrick Henry has not looked like himself. That defense is down now 6 starters from the beginning of the year. They are just so beat up, and they're not in a spot where they can really lose a few games right now. They're 1-3. They've lost 2 games in really brutal fashion to the Lions and the Bills. And then their only win this season has come against the Browns. And even in that one, I mean, as much as they dominated, it didn't really look super convincing for a while. I'm really concerned about this Ravens team, and I know heading into this week, I said I wouldn't be as concerned if the Ravens lost, but the way that they lost and the injuries that they suffered, I don't know if the Ravens are going to make the playoffs this year, man.
Honestly, it's looking like it every day that goes by, Jeremy, and it's not something I like to say willingly. I am in a position, even I'll quickly on fantasy note, if you guys have any guys in fantasy on the Baltimore Ravens, I would ship them out immediately, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Sell them high because this is a Ravens team that is plummeting in front of our very eyes. The offensive line is okay at best. But at the same time, this is a team that on the defensive side of the ball cannot stop a cold. You got they just lost. I'm gonna absolutely butcher this name, but Namdi Matabike, he's done for the year with a neck injury. John Harbaugh just announced. Marlon Humphrey got hurt. Nate Wiggins is hurt. You got Ronnie Stanley on the offensive side of the ball, the offensive tackle. He's hurt. Back to the defense. You lose Kyle Van Noy, lose Roquan Smith, lose Travis Jones. I mean, and the list goes on and on. Darius Washington is gone. You just this team is so riddled with injuries everywhere you look that it just and you lose Lamar on top of all of that. This team is just so riddled with injuries right now that I don't know how they're going to be able to recover, especially with the type of schedule that they have in front of them. They do have the Texans this week, which should be a little bit of a break, but they get the Rams, the Bears. Uh, they of course still got to play the division as well. The Packers are in there. It's when we're looking at this team, there's not a whole lot to look at, and that was a big time loss against the Chiefs. They're now 1-3 and really kind of on the ropes here going into week 5. If they can string together a couple wins, I think they can be okay. It's just going to be about can they do that. This is a Ravens team that's not looking really really good, and yeah, I agree with you, Jeremy. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs right now. I really don't.
It's a big concern. That would be one of the bigger disappointments of really the whole NFL season if the Ravens didn't find a way into the postseason. That was my one big loser of the week. I've got a couple other losers. Monday Night Football was a big loser this week. Oh my God. Those games were disgusting. The Jets and the Dolphins, people had to turn that TV away because
I couldn't
there
watch
just
it.
wasn't another answer. And when I looked to the Bengals to save me, I got absolutely nothing. There was nothing there. The Bengals couldn't get anything done. Did you know that the Bengals, after their first opening drive, where they went down the field and scored a field goal, did not cross midfield for the rest of the game? Not one time did they cross midfield for the rest of the game after they scored a field goal on their first drive. It was so bad. Both of those Monday Night Football games should not have been on prime time. I don't know how Zach Taylor still has a job after that one. It's just awful over there. Get Jake Browning off of my TV. Get him off of any team. Oh my God. I don't think he's gonna win a football game right now. It's unwatchable football right now, and that defense is so bad that if the offense isn't putting up 30 points a game, they're not gonna win anything. Go trade for Jameis. Go trade for us. Go trade for Joe Flacco. Trade for somebody. Go get a different quarterback. I don't care what it takes. You are in your win now mode if you're the Bengals. Ugh, you paid your quarterback. You paid your two receivers. You paid Trey Hendrickson for this one season and this one season alone, which means you have to win this season. Because if Trey Hendrickson leaves, they're not winning anything anytime soon, Mehrob.
No,
It's bad.
yeah, it's that bad. It really is that bad. And this is something that we have talked about time and time again in the offseason, into the season. The fact that they paid Chase, Higgins, and Joe Burrow across the three players almost $450 million is the reason why the Bengals are in this situation. And we knew the second that they gave T. Higgins that contract, they had no money for anybody. They couldn't pay Shamar Stewart. That was an issue. They couldn't pay Trey Hendrickson until pretty much the last day before the season started. This is a really big issue in Cincinnati right now, and I really think if they lose out on Trey Hendrickson, that this team is going to fall apart really quickly. The secondary is a mess. And the injuries across the offense as well are a mess. It really is a big time issue. And probably harping back over to Monday Night Football, like you said, Zach Taylor should not have a job this morning, but he's somehow there. Jake Browning shouldn't have a job this morning, but he's also somehow there. They should probably trade for one of the QBs in New York right now, either Wilson or Jameis Winston. Trade for anybody. Carson Wentz in Minnesota is available once JJ McCarthy comes back. There are guys available out there. Get somebody in Cincinnati that could throw the football, please. Jamar Chase is pleading with you. Chase Brown in the backfield is pleading with you. Do something, please. Because the Bengals
Jameis in Cincinnati would feed families. Oh my God. Imagine Jameis with that wide receiver core. That would be so much fun. I need that. I need that pumped directly into my veins in Cincinnati. I do. And I don't think it would take too much to get him either. He's just kind of chilling in New York. He's not doing anything. I don't know. There just needs to be something done to get the Cincinnati Bengals going. I got one more loser for you, Mehrob, and then I'm gonna turn the floor over to you for your losers as well. My last big loser this week, it's ties in the NFL. They shouldn't exist. Ties don't
50%.
deserve to be in an American sport, honestly. Look, that might sound super rah-rah American of me, but also like, no, don't do ties. The NFL is the only major American sport that does ties. I know hockey has its little overtime loss, but that's not a tie. That's just you lost in overtime. You deserve a little bit of credit for getting it to overtime kind of situation. You can do that in the NFL if you want to. At the minimum, after the NFL has, gone through its overtime period, do dueling 2-point conversions. Do a kickoff where you just try and see which kicker can make the deepest field goal. Like, give us something. Give us something that will make it not a tie, because that Sunday Night Football game was amazing. It was an incredible Sunday Night Football game. We saw the Packers and the Cowboys go back and forth on each other. And then at the end of the day, they kick a field goal, tie the game, and that's it. Game ends. Nothing more. We did it, guys. We played a game of football. Congratulations. That feels like an amateur game. This is the NFL, the National Football League, the biggest sports league in the U.S. You cannot have a game feel like, actually, the softball game that was scheduled at 5:30 is coming on right now. We got to go. We got to get off the field. That's what that felt like, right? You were just playing on the park, and then all of a sudden, nope. Our allotted time is up. We got to go. So who cares if it's a tie game? Finish the football game. I hate ties so much.
It was horrible, and the level of intensity in that game was through the roof. Both sides were trying to play, and both sides came out after the game and said, "I don't know why ties are still a thing. We should," pretty much essentially saying, "We didn't want a tie. We were playing for double overtime." I think the NFL should come out with something, even if they did something like the college football has. When overtime comes around, you start at the 40 and play. Do anything. Do absolutely anything, because the fact that that game went to a tie was so unfortunate. It was such a high-level game. Both sides played their heart out. I wish I could say that these two teams are going to make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure me and you texted off camera as well, Jeremy, and I said these two teams are going to make it in the playoffs and see each other again in the playoffs. But then you reminded me and said, "Yeah, the Cowboys probably aren't going to make the playoffs." And I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. The Cowboys probably aren't going to make the playoffs because their defense is that horrible." But Dak Prescott looks like that guy. The way he was able to throw that football, the way that Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs, shout out Josh Jacobs,
Shout
the
out
way
Josh
he's able
Jacobs.
to run the ball. He is an absolute monster. If any of you guys had him in fantasy, he was an absolute monster, especially in that second half. But I really like this Packers team coming out on a bounce back week, coming back after that Cleveland Browns loss, coming back and just getting the job done in Dallas in a big way. It was fun. It was a fun game. Unfortunately, went to a tie, but I think after that, there's a real case in the NFL to get rid of ties, and hopefully they'll be able to abolish that come this spring when they do their yearly, what is it, their NFLPA meetings. I forget what they call them for rule changes.
Yeah, they get their spring meetings in there. Go over all the rule
They'll get-
changes. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, they'll get rid of that rule. most likely in the spring. I'd be shocked
We'll see.
with the amount of
The NFL is slow to change, fast to blame kind of situation. So
yeah.
we'll find out how they do it. I doubt they actually make a change until something happens in the playoffs. But
No,
I will
low key,
say
Jay. I have one more loss for you though. Whenever you get a sec.
I commend the NFL for at least making it that every team gets the chance to touch the ball in the overtime period, which I think they desperately need it. But Mehrob, we're gonna end this segment with you. You got one loser for us. Who is it?
I got one more loser for you. And I think you know who I'm gonna say. Going back to the Rams Colts game. Colts look like they're doing pretty well. They're moving down the field. Daniel Jones is moving in late in the third or middle of the third quarter. Throws a bomb to Adonai Mitchell. He runs, makes an unbelievable catch, spin move, and then somehow, some way, he decides to lose the ball in the middle of the end zone, slips right out of his hand, and makes probably the biggest meme of the NFL. Jeremy, were you watching that live? Am I the only one that's calling that a loser here?
That is maybe the biggest loser of the week. Not only that play, first of all, that would have been one of the more amazing touchdowns that I've seen in a very long time. I don't know how he caught that ball. Every time, it looks like there's amazing coverage on him. It just shows up in his hands and then he's off running. It's like it got handed to him somehow. I really don't know how he caught that football. But he breaks a tackle, stiff arms a defender, turns on that sprinter speed, goes all the way down the sideline, tries to extend the ball, and where'd it go? It's out of the end zone. That was just, that was really bad. That was really bad. And you know what? It ended up being a touchdown that they lose by. Not only that, but he commits a holding penalty on a later Jonathan Taylor touchdown. It was just not a good day for old Adonai Mitchell. He is probably the biggest loser this week, honestly, Mehrob. So,
Him in the NFL. Him in
oh,
the NFL for the ties and the fact that we had to watch that putrid Monday Night Football. They should be ashamed. They should be fined for making us watch a Monday Night Football slate like that. And they tried to make it okay by giving us 2 games. They
we'll
tried.
start a class action on this one. Try and get our money back for whatever we saw on Monday Night Football there. But look,
Yeah.
I'm not going to dock the Colts too much for that loss because specifically of Adonai Mitchell. They probably should have won that game. Well, let's talk about these teams in the NFL because it is Wednesday, which means, Mehrob, it is time for our NFL tiers. We do this every single week. It's like our power rankings. We go over all 32 NFL teams, talk about the good, the bad, and really especially the ugly in this one. But we have the most teams in the history of NFL tiers, Mehrob, in the awful tier. The most teams ever. We have 5 teams in awful tier. Congratulations, the Saints and the Dolphins. You have company down at the bottom of the NFL pit. So let's start off with those 5 teams here. We're starting off with number 32 in the NFL, and it stays this way. The New Orleans Saints are still the number 32 team in the NFL. The Saints continue to be just really, really bad. Right, this is now the 10th game of Spencer Rattler's career, and all of them have ended in losses as far as games that he has started. Joins an exclusive club of guys that have started 10 games and lost all of them. Derek Carr, a member of the club, the guy that he is taking over for. Shout out Derek Carr. The Saints have just been really bad this season. They're number 32. As Cam Ward put it, they are just ass. The Titans, number 31 in the NFL after a 26-0 shutout loss to the division rival Houston Texans. Cam Ward said it best. I'm going to leave it at that. They're down at their worst spot of the season so far. The Jets, I don't think I need to say too much about them either. We talked a little bit about how bad Monday Night Football was, but a lot of that was the Jets' fault. The offense couldn't get going. Justin Fields could not throw the ball. Excuse me. He couldn't throw the ball. He could run the ball, made a couple really nice plays with his legs, but if you're a quarterback, you need to be able to get it through the air as well, and that's not happening with this Jets team. The Dolphins escape with a victory. simply because they're playing the Jets. They're still awful. They're here at number 29. And at number 28, joining the awful tier, welcome to the party, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, the Dolphins, the Jets. 3 teams in the awful tier, 3 of the 4 teams that played on Monday Night Football. This is why Monday Night Football was such a big loser, Mehrob. It was disgusting. Jake Browning should not be on a football field. Get him off of a football field. Get Zach Taylor off of a football sideline. It is just embarrassing, honestly. Those are the awful tiers, 32 to 28.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the Bengals need to get Jake Browning off a football team. Zach Taylor doesn't need a job this morning. He really doesn't. No, it's really that bad in Cincinnati right now. Jamar Chase is pleading is fighting for his life right now in Cincinnati. When we're looking at this team, I mean, I really like that list. I mean, they're really the awful tiers of the NFL right now, and there's not a whole lot to say right now. That's a good awful tier, I'd say.
Usually, a lot of these teams would just sit in the bad tier, but I think there was a special level of awful where it needed to be. There's only 2 teams in the bad tier. I feel like it kind of switched a little bit. The Browns stay in the bad tier. They have a new quarterback. That's not going to save them. It's not going to save them. They're number 27 in our NFL power rankings. Shout out to the Browns. You know what? That's the highest they've been. So shout out to the Browns for that. They deserve a little respect for that defense. And the team joining them in that bad tier, Mehrob, it's going to be the Vegas Raiders. Another brutal loss after a blocked field goal. That's the way the Bears usually lose games. The Raiders might have broken the Bears' curse there, and that's a scary thing to think about. Are the Bears not cursed anymore? We'll have to find out. They do beat a bad Raiders team. Geno Smith continues to throw a million interceptions, and if he continues to turn the ball over like that, it's not going to matter how good Ashton Genty plays, how good Max Crosby plays. You can't win games when your quarterback throws 3 interceptions in a game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the Raiders really looks like the Raiders' problem right now is Geno Smith. I think at some point that is something that the Raiders are going to address. Of course, Pete Carroll was Geno Smith's original guy in Seattle. He brought Geno Smith in. He's a guy that's going to trust Geno Smith for a little bit longer than, say, the Browns would. But in the Browns sort situation, they're another team that could move up into the bad category. Same with the Raiders. It's just right now they got to stay in bad. They could also, I just don't think they can move farther than bad. These are 2 teams that are probably gonna move their way into the bad category. It's just gonna be about a matter of when that's gonna officially happen. They got the talent. It's just their key pieces are the issues right now over there.
We'll have to see. Let's get into that bad kind of situation. The Giants kick off our list here. Number 25 overall in the NFL. Number 5 in the I think they're kind of bad tier. But shout out Jackson Dart. They get a big victory. Giants knock off the Chargers in this one. They move up a tier. Shout out to the New York Giants. Cowboys also in this tier. And maybe that's a little disrespectful of me to put the Cowboys here, but that defense is so bad. Dak Prescott needs to do his best Joe Burrow impression every single game. You know, he's put up 40 twice, and they are 1-0-1 in those games. They should be 2-0 in games when your quarterback puts up 40 points. That defense is just really, really bad. The Bears also in this tier. I want to believe in Ben Johnson. I want to believe in the Bears. I want to believe in Caleb Williams. They should have lost that game. They really should have. The way that Max Crosby was lighting them up, they should not be in that game. But it doesn't matter. They get a big win. The Bears 2-2 heading out of the first quarter of the season. Panthers also in this tier. We saw them be really bipolar. Last week, they lose 42-13 to the Patriots. The week before, they beat the Falcons 30-0. What's going on in Carolina? I don't know what's going on in Carolina. Do you know what's going on in Carolina? I don't think anybody knows what's going on in Carolina. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know. I lean more towards bad than good, but they're still up here. And the Vikings finish off this tier. Number 21 in the NFL are the Minnesota Vikings. They are bad. Carson Wentz looked okay in his first start. He didn't really have to do anything against the Bengals. They lost that game themselves. The defense of the Vikings won that game by themselves, really. The offense didn't even need to show up to the office that day. It helped that they did, but they didn't need to. The Vikings just lose in brutal fashion to the Steelers. I know they put up a little bit of a comeback effort, but that game was really out of reach the whole time. The Vikings just, without an offensive line, they get their big guy Christian Darrisaw back on that left tackle, but then they lose two more guys on the offensive line, and everything continues to fall apart. I don't really believe in this Vikings team this year, especially with that quarterback situation.
Yeah, no doubt about it. This is one of those tiers that's probably a little bit of mix of bad, bad. Could some of these guys could move up as well, but I really like this list. Starting at the top, the Vikings probably deserve to be in this list. Their defense isn't horrible. Their offense looks like it has some potential, but just not a whole lot to see yet over there. The Panthers, probably a team that's going to fall into bad. I don't really know. They're a team that I had a lot of hope in moving into the season. Now, not a whole lot anymore. Bears could move up, kind of still in the right category in the at bad. Cowboys, same. Giants, a team that I could see sneakily moving up into the good category. But following the injury to Neighbors, it's pretty hard to do that. I just think their defense could actually carry this team, Jeremy. I could see this defense carrying this team to 5 or 6 wins. Could be a crazy thing to say, but that's just how good that Giants defense is, and it's just going to be up to see. It's just going to be up to Jackson Dart to see what they can do. But going to week 5, I like this list as well. You're doing pretty well right now, my friend.
That's what we like to hear. Number 20 in our NFL power rankings. In our good tier, we have 5 more teams. Number 20, the New England Patriots. 42 points. Drake May looks really good. That running game shows up. Granted, against the Panthers, but we don't know how good that Panthers is or not. We don't know how good these Patriots are or not. The defense showed up big time for the Pats. They move up a tier. They're up to number 20. 19, the Steelers. They love sitting around this 16 to 20 range. I swear to God, this is where the Steelers just live. I think this is a good Steelers team, but also, God, I really don't think this is a good Steelers team. Aaron Rodgers had 220 yards on the day, 80 of which came on a little slant to DK Metcalf. So 120 yards outside of that one big splash play. That offense just isn't getting it done. The defense, shout out the defense last week against Carson Wentz. The defense also not really getting it done. I don't know. This is just not a Steelers team I'm super in love with, but they're going to keep finding ways to win games because that's just what Mike Tomlin does. That's just what the Steelers do. Number 18, the Arizona Cardinals drop a tough one on Thursday Night Football. I think this is a team that's just barely going to miss the playoffs. That's just how it feels with this team. They're going to be sitting around 500, and I don't think they're quite going to be able to find a way in, but I do think they're going to be better than the bad teams in the NFL. Seahawks at number 17, just behind that true midpoint. They take care of business against the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. Sam Darnold's looked a lot better than I expected him to in Seattle, so that gives them a lot of hope, and they are potentially going to make a playoff push in a real tough NFC West. And rounding out that division, 3 birds in a row, the Falcons, they get number 16 after just a really big win against Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Obviously, bounce back game for Michael Penix. He gets the job done. Big fan of all of that. The Falcons round out I think they're kind of good tier.
Can I get another caw, Jeremy?
Caw. That's what you get for 3 birds in a row.
That's true. You can't hate it. Can't hate it. But I do not like this good, so get ready for that. Patriots, no problem at all. I think they're a team that honestly I'm not shocked is not in the bad category just because they did just beat up on the Panthers, and the Panthers should probably also be in the bad category. But Patriots definitely a fringe team in that good. Steelers, shockingly 3-1, but also could somehow win the AFC North this year with how bad the North is playing. Who knew that the Steelers were going to win the North this year? We all thought that they're going to make third. Maybe they might be the last team in the division going into the season, but they somehow sitting atop with probably the easiest schedule right now in that division. Gotta love it if you're a Steelers fan right now. Um, the Cardinals, I don't really know, man. This is such a weird team. I don't know if I should trust Kyler Murray, if I should trust this offense, if I should trust this defense. I can't tell anything. I thought they should have lost by a lot more on Thursday night. That's partly probably on Seattle's part as and probably shout out Marvin Harrison Jr. We did talk about this on Friday, but shout out Marv showing up in a big way in that fourth quarter for the Cardinals and bringing them back into that game. Um, just a fringe of everything, a mix of a lot of stuff going on over there. Seattle, I think Seattle honestly should move to good tier, and I think they're a team that's probably just. Let me ask you this, Jeremy: if the Seahawks beat the Bucks this upcoming week, what happens to this team? Where do we put them?
Seahawks probably move into the good tier if they beat the Buccaneers this week.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it all plays out. I don't want to speak too soon yet. Also, we'll do a full Sunday breakdown on Friday, so I'll wait for that on Friday to give my picks. But I mean, this is a really good Seattle team on both sides of the ball. I love the way the offense is rolling. The defense is arguably a top five unit in the NFL on all levels. I really like the way this team is playing. So I personally just have them in the good tier, but I'm also biased, so take everything I say with a grain of salt there. And for the Falcons, did beat up on the Panthers. I do like the way that Penix is kind of growing into this offense. I know he had a tough week against the Panthers, but I mean, eh. It is the good tier. I can't really tell yet. They're another fringe team that I just cannot tell yet. I have them closer to 20, but that's just me.
That's fair. That is fair. Like I said, that's why we do tiers at the end of the day, because a lot of these can kind of be shuffled around just a little bit.
Yeah.
Heading over into the good tier, we feel pretty confident that these teams are good, but also,
Are they good?
I mean, who knows?
No.
Maybe, excuse me. They feel pretty
But
confident that these teams are good, but are they going to make the playoffs? We don't really know for sure. Number 15 in the NFL, the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos, I still believe, are a good team. That defense is good. They just beat up on the Bengals on Monday Night Football, but they haven't shown me enough that I'm convinced they're going to be a playoff team. Same thing with our number 14 team, the Houston Texans. They get their first win of the season. Shout out destroying the Tennessee Titans. Woody Marks looks really good. Shout out Woody Marks. We didn't give him a shout out in our rookie running back segment. Shout out Woody Marks. He had a huge day. I need to see more out of them. The offensive line just isn't good enough right now. The Jaguars at number 13, big win over the 49ers this week. I'm a huge fan of Liam Cohen and this Jags team, the way that they're playing football right now. That defense and Devin Lloyd are leading a charge that are going to make this team a lot better than a lot of people thought they were going to be. The Ravens at number 12. They fall 6 spots, one of the biggest droppers of the week this week. They're all the way out of the Super Bowl tier down to the good tier. I still want to believe, but like we talked about in our losers segment, they have lost a lot due to injury. Lamar Jackson out for a couple weeks. They're going to plummet a lot coming these next few weeks without Lamar. And rounding out this tier, the 49ers are in the good tier. I couldn't quite keep them in that playoff tier. Again, they're another team dealing with injuries. They lose to a good Jags team, so I didn't want to punish them really too much. But without Nick Bosa on the defense, this is just objectively a different team. With Brock Purdy and Mac Jones both dealing with injuries on the offense can't really move the ball as effectively. They're going to need to get healthy soon. If the offense can go, the defense is good enough to survive. You still have Fred Warner. You still have a lot of really talented guys, but losing Nick Bosa is a tough blow early in the year for them.
what happened to Nick Bosa? I did not hear about
Tore
this
his
at all.
ACL last week.
Oh, that was Nick. I thought that was
No,
Joey
that
Bosa.
was Nick Bosa.
That was Nick. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, in that case, yeah, this is a 49ers team that is most likely that defensive unit. If it was not already an issue in San Francisco, it is a big time issue right now. I personally have them just sitting closer to the bottom of the good tier just because they did just lose to the Jags, and the Jags kind of put a good beating on them. That, along with the fact that Ricky Pearsall now dealing with the PCL injury, we'll see how long he'll be out for. But I mean, the Niners are definitely still a great team. I just think they're in a loaded division. They're still a top 15 team. That division is just absolutely loaded. Same with the Ravens. They're just two teams that are extremely injured right now. Should be higher in the list if they were fully healthy. Would be, no doubt about it. But just right now, I have them sitting around 15, 14. Jags, Colts, Texans. I see that as the same situation as the NFC South with the Buccaneers and Falcons, just three teams that are all just kind of in the same tier. And then the Broncos are just the Broncos. They either win by 20 or they lose by 20. There is just no in between with this team. And it's just the defense is good. But is Bo Nix that good? Maybe you were right, Jeremy, when you mentioned that sophomore slump a couple weeks ago. I couldn't believe it, but I'm starting to believe in it now. That Broncos offense does not look very good right now.
We'll have to see how it goes. But let's get into the top 10. This is where our playoff tier begins. And welcome back to the Dynasty Chiefs. 37 points on a bad Ravens defense. You shouldn't have woken the beast. The beast is awake now, and now it's going to be very scary in the NFL. The Chiefs are back. They're into the top 10. At number 9, the Indianapolis Colts, a game that they should have won. Like I said, I'm not punishing them. They are up to number 9, actually. They were number 10 last week. A couple teams fell behind them. At number 8, I'm keeping the Chargers. I know they lost to the Giants, but I think this is a game that they could have won. I think injuries played a big part. I don't think that it's going to hurt them too much. I think Justin Herbert's going to have a bounce back. They just went up against a tough defense and a team that had a new quarterback, rookie first-round quarterback, buff, boost, whatever you want to call it, and it helped them out a lot there. The Commanders lose a game. With Jaden Daniels, who's supposed to be back this week, they win that game. I'm not too worried about them. They're also still at number 7. The Bucs move up to number 6 with a loss. I think they're just playing these teams really close. I love the way that they played the Eagles. If it wasn't for a punt block return for a touchdown, we're talking about this game very differently. Special teams have played a huge role in the NFL so far, and that's something to keep an eye on. And the last team in our playoff tier, it's the Packers. I can't keep you in the Super Bowl tier if you tie to the Cowboys. It's a rule of mine. I can't do that. They fall just out of the tier below the Lions. They are at number 5 overall, heading into the top 5. But that is my playoff tier of Week 4. Super Bowl teams are the only ones that remain.
I like it. And shout out Xavier Worthy with the Chiefs. That's absolutely unlocked that offense. And they don't even have Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice coming back in 2 weeks now. This Chiefs team is very scary, and the fans are the only ones to blame. The nightmare is back. The nightmare is back, and it's
back.
Spooky season in the middle of October, or the beginning of October, I should say.
Let's get into the Super Bowl tier a little bit here. The final 4 teams, number 4 through 1. Number 4, I've got the Detroit Lions. I understand the Packers beat the Lions, so maybe they shouldn't be right below them. But at some point, they're going to play each other again. And I think on the way that it's going, if they played each other again, the Lions would find a way to win. I think it was just week 1. You had new coordinators, offensive and defensive, and that feels like more of a fluke. But I do understand if you're going to get on me for putting the Lions right above the Packers. The Rams above the Lions at number 3. We talked about that connection. Puka and Matthew Stafford, the way that defense is flying around. I'm a big fan of this Rams team. They are at number 3. Number 2... it's still the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't put them at number 1. They haven't dominated a game yet. They've won games, which, like I've said, is a skill in and of itself. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you're squeaking out victories. The fact that you can win games in a multitude of different ways is really impressive, but it reminds me of the Chiefs last year. I kept saying the same things. Oh, but they won games. They're the reigning Super Bowl champions. I can't move them. It's fine. I can't move them because they keep winning games, but if they do lose a game, they're going to fall a lot further than people want them to fall. And at number 1, it's the Bills. Josh Allen playing like an MVP again. He's probably going to go back-to-back. The Bills' defense playing great. James Cook, how about him leading the NFL at running backs in touchdowns right now? This is just an absolutely insane Bills team. They are back at number 1 yet again.
Yeah, and this is a good list, honestly, Jeremy. I'm not going to get harp on you about the Packers. I think the fact that they tied against the Cowboys is a big-time issue. And the Lions, honestly, the Lions, they were my number 1 team in the power rankings last week, so I can't say anything about them. I think they're the best team in the NFL, hands down above everyone, and that's just my opinion. The Rams, them and the Rams are the two best teams in my opinion right now in the NFL. The Eagles, they're a sneaky, sneaky loser of Week 4 because, oh well, it's not the entire Eagles. It's just Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts forgot how to throw the football in the second half against the Bucks. They had what 35 total yards in the second half of that game or something crazy. They had like 23 going into the fourth quarter. This team did not look very good at all. AJ Brown was upset, visibly upset after the game. Devontae Smith was visibly upset after the game. I mean, they do have Saquon Barkley. They still have the tush push that is going to work in their favor in small yardage situations, in 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 situations. But if you cannot move the ball on 2nd and 8, if you can't move the ball on 3rd and 5, there's no hope. There, you are. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it all falls on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts. If he can clean up his act, this is an Eagles team that can get it done. But this was my big issue with the Eagles throughout last year. I did not have hope in Jalen Hurts and being able to throw the football downfield. I still, and this past weekend reminded me of that. It can continue that issue can continue to be an issue, but it's a fact if they can clean it up. They get the Broncos this week. Should be a fun matchup. Good defense. If you can get it done, could be a big time win for that Eagles team. But I don't know. I mean, other than that, the Bills being a number one is fine. The Rams are a really good team. And honestly, that's a good top 5, I'd say.
Yeah, the Eagles, like you said, have played one game of football in the last two. Their first half last week was really, really bad. The worst half of football in the last Eagles century by yardage total. And then they one-upped themselves in the second half of last week, where it was just really bad. But you know what? They found a way to win both of those games. The Eagles really showing that they only need to play half of a game in order to win games, which is kind of scary and really, really impressive for this Eagles team. But there is an NFL game that we're going to talk a little bit about today here. Look, Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football is tomorrow night. The Rams and the 49ers, divisional matchup in the NFC West for the second Thursday in a row. We saw the Seahawks and the Cardinals last week. Now we get the other pair. These games are always fun. We talked about the Niners dealing with injuries. No Nick Bosa. The status up in the air for Brock Purdy. Ricky Pearsall dealing with an injury going up against a really good Rams team. The Rams coming off of a big win against the Indianapolis Colts here. How do you see this game playing out, Mehrob?
Well, I'm going to just start this off and say I was in San Francisco this past weekend, so I talked to a couple people about this Niners team while I was out there. A lot of people mentioned it, and they brought up this point. The Niners should not have started Brock Purdy this past weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why? This is a team in the Jags that they're not going to see again unless they make it to the Super Bowl miraculously. They start him on week 4, and pretty much Brock Purdy came out right after the game and said, "My toe hurts." Like coming off of a turf toe injury, he is already saying that his toe is bothering him once again, and that's why he's questionable for this game tomorrow night against the Rams. You start him against the Jags on knowing that you're on a short week up against a division rival, a crucial game if you want any chance of even winning the division or making the playoffs. That was just the wrong decision after having the way that Mac Jones has been playing the last couple weeks. I think they should have started Mac, and if the same situation happens this tomorrow night, if Mac plays and he doesn't do well, this falls on the shoulders of Kyle Shanahan in that decision to play Purdy against the Jags. I don't think it doesn't look like that big of a deal, but when you have the issues to Ricky Pearsall, have the issues to Nick Bosa, you have a young team in general. CMC isn't really 100%. He's a guy that's he's said before week 1, he's dealing with a calf injury. I wouldn't say that it's 100% healthy even after a month, especially since he's been playing on it for a month. But I don't know. I think this is an issue that's going to fall on the coaching staff, that they decided to play Purdy, and it could be their downfall in the fact that they lose on Thursday night. This is a good Rams team. This is a crucial divisional game on a short week that I think that the Niners just mishandled and that the Rams are going to take advantage of. I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams win this one by a pretty decent margin, especially with the way that they've been playing as of late.
This one is going to be fun. Or I should say it should be fun. It really just does come down to if the 49ers are going to be healthy. These two teams always play each other close. But if you don't have Brock Purdy, which it really is questionable up in the air, we'll know more. It's just going to be tough. I love the way the Rams are playing. I don't know if the 49ers really got a shot in this game. It's in LA or Inglewood, I guess, in the Rams stadium. So this is going to be a road game anyway. Road division games are always tough. I'm leaning with the Rams regardless of health, but if the 49ers are healthy, they do have a shot in this game. Otherwise, it's going to be Rams all the way in a blowout. Hopefully, it's not 3 straight duds of primetime games, but we will have to see in this one. Thursday night football, Matthew Stafford and the Rams take on the 49ers and potentially Brock Purdy, but we'll have to see. I'm taking the Rams to win this one 27-14.
I'm taking 24-10, and to add to the issues with the Niners, Purdy, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall did not practice yesterday at all. So this is 3 clear signs that this is a really big issue
Yeah,
in San
so
Francisco.
gonna be a little bit of a blowout, I guess. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. But got one more thing I want to talk to you about, Mehrob. We talked a lot about baseball last night, but there is even more baseball. We did not quite cover the final game as it was going on during our show. Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers power passed the Reds in Game 1. Game 1 is through the books 10-5. Now, Dodgers had 5 home runs in this game. Shohei had 2 of his own. They were up 8-0. But the big concern with the Dodgers heading into this postseason, and the big concern with the Dodgers overall, was their bullpen, Mehrob. And yet, that bullpen nearly gave up a crazy comeback to a Reds team that was floundering offensively. Blake Snell goes 7 nearly perfect innings. That's the deepest he's ever gone into a playoff start. Famously, he was pulled from the Rays World Series start against the Dodgers, but did not matter. God, the Reds almost came back into that. That would have been unacceptable if the Reds had won that game.
Yeah, that would have been ridiculous. Putting up 5 runs in the final 3 innings. I just think this is a Dodgers team that's going to try and rely on their starter to keep them in the game and just put up runs for the first 6 innings and pray to the heavens that the other team that they're facing does not come back in the last 3. If you brought up that bullpen, how bad it's playing, and I mean, they showed it yesterday. I mean, if they had lost that game against the Reds after being up 8-0 going into the 6th inning, or going into the 5th inning, excuse me. Wait, was it the 5th? No, going to the 7th, excuse me. If they had lost that game after being up 8-0, I don't know how they would have come back by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how they would have come back in the series. I don't know how they would have been demoralized. Everybody would have harped on them. And we're looking back at it today that they didn't, but we're just talking about hypotheticals. But this, at the end of the day, is the wild card round for a team that we both have expectations of winning the whole World Series. So it's really hard to pick, but this is something that we're going to be all watching, especially going into the game later tonight as well.
Yeah, 4 games tonight in the MLB. Kicks off or first pitch at 1 p.m. in Cleveland. Casey Mize on the mound for Detroit taking on Tanner Beebe. I think Cleveland survives, is desperate, advances to a Game 3. The Padres take on Chicago. First pitch in that one is going to be at 3 o'clock p.m. Dylan Cease versus Andrew Kittredge on the mound over there. Chicago favored. I think San Diego extends the series to 2 as well. Boston at New York. First pitch at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Brian Bayo takes on Carlos Rodon. Yankees are the biggest favorites of the day. Actually, other than the Dodgers, second biggest favorite of the day are the Yankees. I think the Boston Red Sox eliminate them in New York in 2 games. And then the last one, the Cincinnati Reds at the Dodgers. First pitch, 9 p.m. Zach Littell versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who had an amazing season. I think this is wraps for the Cincinnati Reds, but we will have to see with all 4 amazing games tonight. But thank you,
Yeah.
everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Triple Threat Show. We have been your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus and Mehrob Fatemi. We'll be back on Friday morning, giving you everything you need, your little wake up in the morning to talk about football, picking all of the games, going over everything going on in Major League Baseball as the playoffs continue to rumble forward. We'll be back with that and much more then. Bye-bye.